Welcome back to High Stakes. Elevate your game by subscribing to our channel so you never miss our daily content. For exclusive access to our premium betting picks, join our Patreon. Find the link in the comments section below. Stay ahead with High Stakes. Los Angeles Rams vs. Houston Texans. The Rams will close out the 2024 preseason with a meeting against the surging Texans. Don't expect to see many starters on both sides. Not surprisingly, Matthew Stafford will not play in the final preseason game for the Rams. Stetson Bennett figures to open the game. Bennett was a fourth-round draft pick by the Rams last year after leading the University of Georgia to 2 straight national championships. He was not with Los Angeles during the regular season as he addressed his mental health. Bennett has 6 turnovers this preseason, 5 interceptions, and 1 fumble. He did throw a late touchdown pass to beat the Dallas Cowboys 2 weeks prior. I think when you don't play football for so long, you want it to be perfect, but you kind of got to make those mistakes to learn from them, he said to Associated Press reporters after the game. As much as I don't want to do that, it is good that some things like that happen so you can learn from them. As far as position battles, the 5th and 6th wide receiver spot is up for grabs with Tyler Johnson, Xavier Smith, and Drake Stoops. Quarterbacks Case Keenum and Tim Boyle will take the reins and open the game against LA. C.J. Stroud started last week's game, but do not expect to see the young starter here. Stroud threw for 88 yards in 1 quarter. The Texans did not score on his first drive, and he was lifted for Case Keenum in the middle of the next one at the start of the second quarter. John Mechie led the Texans with 6 receptions for 68 yards. Undrafted rookie British Brooks had touchdown runs of 6 and 15 yards in the fourth quarter to extend the lead to 28-10. Mechie, who is starting his second season since missing his rookie year undergoing cancer treatment, scooped a 3-yard touchdown from Case Keenum to make it 14-7 in the second quarter. It's exciting to see Mechie make those plays, Coach D'Amico Ryans told AP reporters after the game. Nobody is more fired up than all of his teammates. You see the other receivers and their genuine excitement for him when he makes those plays. The entire team, as a whole, is pulling for him to do well. On Saturday, look for an even split between Keenum and Boyle. The final preseason game between the Houston Texans and Los Angeles Rams will take place on Saturday afternoon, but do not expect to see Matthew Stafford or C.J. Stroud. Stetson Bennett figures to open the game for LA. Bennett was a 4th-round draft pick by the Rams last year after leading the University of Georgia to 2 straight national championships. He has 6 turnovers so far this preseason, and the feisty young Texans defensive unit will get after him in a big way. He threw 4 interceptions against Dallas 2 weeks ago, and D'Amico Ryans' 2nd and 3rd defensive units are going to cause havoc. It is hard to gauge preseason games, but with the way Bennett has played, it's impossible to trust LA. Take Houston by 6.5 points. The total for this preseason dress rehearsal is lower than you would expect given the teams. Case Keenum is an accomplished NFL backup quarterback and is capable of leading the offense on multiple scoring drives. The Rams' quarterback situation is not favorable besides Matthew Stafford, but Sean McVay is an offensive wizard and will generate at least a scoring drive or 2. I expect the Rams' defense to score at least 1 defensive touchdown, and Case Keenum and Tim Boyle will deliver 2 or 3 scoring drives against a Rams team benching the vast majority of their players. Take over 34 points. Baltimore Ravens vs. Green Bay Packers. The Ravens have lost 3 straight preseason games against the spread, including a defeat last week at home against the Falcons. They also lost 2 of their final 3 games ATS to close out last season. Baltimore has yet to score more than 13 points in either game played this preseason, so they may not have the firepower to mount a comeback if they find themselves down on the road early. Baltimore starters have received limited minutes this preseason, and the Ravens have yet to unleash star QB Lamar Jackson, who watched the entire game last week from the sidelines. Baltimore's defense has limited their opponents to 16 points or less in each game this preseason, so the odds the Packers will score quickly in bunches are low. The Packers have won 3 of their previous 5 preseason games against the spread, including a 23-10 victory over the Browns in Cleveland in Week 1. The stats and trends strongly support a Packers victory in front of the home crowd over the weekend. Take Green Bay. The Ravens went under the point total in both of their 2024 preseason games, with only 25 points scored during their game with the Falcons last week. The Ravens' offense has struggled, failing to exceed 13 points in either of their first two games. Their rushing attack averaged a lean 2.4 yards to carry last week. Baltimore pushed or went under the point total in 3 straight contests to close out their season last year. Baltimore's defense has not allowed more than 16 points this offseason and held the Falcons to under 200 yards of total offense last week. Green Bay has gone under the point total in 3 straight preseason games, and their offense could produce only 2 points and 168 yards of total offense last week against a Denver defense that ranked in the bottom half of the league in yards allowed last season. Green Bay could not hang onto the ball last week, fumbling 3 times, so they may lose a score or 2 on turnovers. Most signs point to a lower scoring affair in Green Bay on Saturday. Take the under 33.5 points. Carolina Panthers versus Buffalo Bills. After not seeing any big names thus far offensively in the preseason, it's unlikely we see any in the finale. And given that the Bills are left with veteran Mitch Trubisky leading the way over 2 inconsistent young Panthers QBs, they'll be the favorite at home in this one. On top of that, the Bills' defense comes with much more depth than the Panthers, and on the back of 2 inconsistent performances from Carolina, expect the Bills to pick up a much-needed win as they look to their Super Bowl hopes with the regular season on the horizon. Take Buffalo with the money line. Given the caliber of offenses here, if it were the regular season, the total would be much higher than 31, but Buffalo has tallied just 15 points thus far in the preseason, with Carolina the same after a 3-point game against New England. Don't expect much more here. With Josh Allen leading the way, Buffalo has been one of the NFL's most high-octane units over the past few seasons, but on top of these performances, preseason usually favors the defense, so don't expect too many points to be put up in this one. Keep it simple, take the under 31 points. Pittsburgh Steelers versus Detroit Lions. While the Steelers will likely feature more of their top 2 quarterbacks on Saturday, neither has looked particularly sharp in the preseason. The Steelers' offense has looked shaky, ranked next to last in scoring thus far in the preseason, and has struggled to finish off drives. The Lions will be playing their reserves on Saturday, but that will likely include veteran RB Craig Reynolds as well as preseason rushing leader Sione Vaki. They both should find success running against the Steelers' defense that won't include any regulars, and that is ranked just 25th against the run in the preseason. Pittsburgh has also struggled to finish off drives this preseason, so they are unlikely going to build up a big lead on touchdowns. Take the Lions plus 6.5 points. I don't expect much fireworks in the final preseason game for each team. In the first 2 games, both teams have been below average in scoring, with Pittsburgh ranked just 31st and the Lions checking in at 18th. With several skilled players likely out of action on Saturday, those numbers should continue. The Lions will more than likely feature their ground game, while the Steelers could also decide to crank up a ground attack that is ranked just 22nd in production this preseason. Take the under.